I think
Let's
so.
make you beginning. Start with a prayer followed by the pledge. Father God, we turn to you this morning. We're mindful and thankful for the blessings you've shared upon us in our county. We pray for wisdom as we make decisions for those our constituents. We pray for those that wear a badge and uniform and keep us safe. We pray you would watch over them. And to this prayer we pray in Christ's name. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Appreciate your patience. Our first item of business, the minutes were sent via email. Any alterations or corrections?
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
0. Okay. From our last meeting, we had 3 payrolls. Payroll 18 is in the amount of $226,223.94. Payroll number 19, $229,376.72. And payroll number 20, $226,799.86. We also had claims, 2 sets of claims. The first one, $410,975.22. And our second claims, the big one, $1,348,875.90.
Related to the courthouse repair.
Courthouse, paving projects, chip and seal, a lot of different stuff that went back in the community. So,
Motion to approve.
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
3-0. Okay, right to Scott.
Morning.
Good
Morning.
Our system was down, so I wasn't able to get numbers to you in advance, but we have 103 inmates in the jail as of this morning. 41 of those are pretrial for Superior, 21 are pretrial circuit, 12 F6, and 9 DOC. Numbers went up the last couple weeks just because of increase in arrests. Over the last week or so, we were down to about 90. Matter of fact, last Monday, I know we had 93, which was my next item to discuss. Was we had our jail inspection last Monday. That went very well. So I've already seen the pre-draft of the jail inspection report, so that'll be coming out. As soon as the jail commander gets the final copy, we'll get that out to everybody. So, but no issues there. Passed with flying colors. And then to go back on the numbers again here, the state put on a pretrial conference down in Indianapolis on Friday, which I attended. So did both judges, the prosecutor, and the head of probation. We went down last Friday to the pretrial. They called it a pretrial summit to talk about Criminal Rule 26, which has been brought up to you guys before about pretrial services to evaluate individuals as far as risk when they get arrested, that they could be released without the normal bond schedule. They would be released without having to post bond if they don't pose a potential risk to society based on the charges that they're at. So I know these are things that we talked about, that there was pilot counties that were doing those. A lot of those had presented Friday on how they're doing their services, who's doing it, and those type of things. So this is something that they're asking everybody to be implemented by 2020. So we've already had pre-meetings on this to discuss the details of how we'd like to do it here. I think it kind of just reiterated that we're on the right track as far as what we're looking at, how other counties are dealing with it and going from there. So that's something that we're going to be implementing between both judges and the courts, and how we deal with that throughout the jail to help those low-risk offenders not be taking up spaces in the jail and so forth. So I don't think it's going to make a huge dent, but it is obviously something that will keep those low-risk people out of tying up a space or a bed within our facility. So because with 94 beds, obviously, as of today, we're a little bit over on that. So, but when we did do our jail inspection, we were one under our bed capacity at that time, so.
Perfect.
So that was kind of nice, so, good planning. Other than that, everything else is functioning well. Just going through some staffing stuff and trying to get things going there, but other than that, I got nothing else to report.
Okay. Thank you, Scott.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Be around later if I give you a call.
Yes.
Okay.
Josh, you are. Good morning.
Morning. Go Colts.
Yeah.
Not so much Bear Cubs.
Yeah. Can't have it all.
Should be the next few weeks should be done with our mowing, side ditch mowing. This year we mowed 4 times rather than 3 just because of the rain and the growth. No different than everyone else having to mow their own yards more this year. Same with our ditches. This year we are doing something a little different. We're doing some crack sealing. Have never done that in the past. It's with the cost of asphalting a road, hot mixing a road, it's ridiculous. So crack sealing is like a cheap insurance policy to go through all the roads. Like the ones we hot mix this year, obviously we won't crack seal those. But anything that's done year 2, 3 years old, you go through, seal up the cracks, keeps the water out, all that good stuff, so they don't bust up, freeze thaw, and split up. So it's just something new, and I think Blake, you and I spoke about it, at a lot of the conferences, road schools. It's like the cheapest insurance policy to keep your roads in good shape. So rather than just keep pouring chip and seal over fresh asphalt, and that upsets everyone, it just kind of helps preserve the asphalt. So we're doing some of that, about 5 to 10 miles this year we'll get done. It's kind of expensive, but like I said, it's way cheaper than asphalt. Backhoe crew, fired that back up once chip and seal finished. All our north stuff is done, except for the road conversions. So we'll finish that in the next 2 weeks, putting in all our new culvert pipes and driveway pipes and reworking ditches and all that stuff for the conversion projects. That said, that's the next point. 400 West is that short shoot from 1000 to Marzane. Everything has been widened there. We've done front slopes on ditches, just need to do back slopes, but waiting on crops to come off. If we get to a point to where the crops aren't off and we need to do the work, they all know they signed the right of way. Jared staked them. They knew when they planted right over to the edge that there's a stake there for a reason, and all the farmers have called and, hey, wait, and we'll wait as long as we can, but we get to that point, we're just going to have to do what we can. So, and everything up in that north in Union Township, Kevin, you and I had spoke, is
Right.
all on the same schedule. Everything's been widened. All front slopes have been done. Back slopes are going to be done once harvest. Now, there's been a couple of the farmers that were gracious enough to see the stakes and didn't plan over. They stopped at the stakes like we asked them to do. So those were able to work on the back slope. So we'll just continue all we can, do everything we can before having to take someone's crops off. Have not started 5 West down in Jackson Township yet. Trying to get, they're so far, they're literally 25 miles away from each other, like from one corner to the next. So I'm trying to get as much done up north as I can before I pull equipment and move south, just because of the transport time and such back and forth. So that will be there. Last, to finish some of that, we have some stumps to take out, and we'll get that in the next couple of weeks. All our large culvert pipes are done now. The only thing left is we have 4 box culverts to do. The box culverts are all done at the manufacturers, and the contractors will be doing those this month and into the 1st of November. So by mid-November, we'll have all of our large culvert pipes and box culverts done. The road striping, all the new hot mix roads were done there a month and a half ago. I just talked to them this morning. They will be finishing doing all of our chip and seal roads tomorrow. We're brooming them today just to make sure the loose gravel's off intersections and down the middles and around railroad crossings, but they'll do that. And then last but not least, it's fall, it's harvest. I mean, I'm not sure anything I say is any different than what everyone else is putting on social media, but just be careful. That's it.
Great.
Anything for me?
Josh, I want to thank you for your prompt response to the question on 5 West.
Yeah.
The individuals that were
Fiber optic lines that go through there, so it took us a little longer for them to pothole through there to make sure
Right.
we didn't have tree roots wrapped around fiber optic lines and such, because I didn't want to send a dozer in there to rip out stumps and then get a
Right.
huge repair bill on a fiber line. So I just wanted to make sure
Right.
the coast is clear, and I got their thumbs up and a voicemail and an email saying go for it. So if something does happen, we're kind of covered.
Well, and you had taken a proactive response to that anyway, because prior to doing this a couple of months ago, alerted the individuals on the road what was coming.
Yep.
Just be patient, so
Yep.
that's good.
Yep. Good to go. All right.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Nate, I'm going to be next.
Got a computer today, so. Quite a bit on the list today, unfortunately, so I'll try to be quick on just some different updates. For everyone's information, Bridge 303B, that's on 1000 South, just east of Meridian, and also Bridge 118B, that's 850 North, just west of State Road 1. That road work has been completed since our last meeting, so everything should be open. Right now, I'm just simply waiting for the grass to get established so I can release retainage on both those projects. So those are, well, that work's done, and the 3D company that was working on 118 is complete with their work for us, and then HIS working on the other bridge has moved to Bridge 6B, which is on 700 South. So that's the status of those. Hoosier Highway, no big surprise, that work's complete and open to traffic since our last meeting. And then item number 3, the Austin bridges, those are the Mill Street and Lefevre Street bridges. The deck was poured last week. We didn't close the traffic on that until September 19th. There's a 7-day cure for the surface, so the concrete surface needs 5 days wet, 2 days dry, cure. So that should be Tuesday. The plan right now is for asphalt to be put on the approaches on Wednesday. Once the asphalt's down, the bridges can be opened, both of them. So that should get us down about 19, 20 days total project duration. So that's within our contract. We should be done just before Mill Street gets its asphalt and it's open, and long before NDOT's going to be done with State Road 1. So in and out pretty quickly with it. So if our meeting was next week, the project would have started and completed since your last meeting. So I think that's pretty good success for us. So just wanted to keep you apprised of that. I have a number of different items for your consideration as well. The unofficial detour, this is for State Road 116 and County Road 150 North. That's actually one of the documents there. You can sign it afterwards if you'd like. NDOT's asking to reroute traffic around that intersection. Got a confirmation with Josh to move that from 116 east to State Road 1, and then use the State Road 1 down to State Road 124 on the south end, and then using County Road 200 North on the north side for the detour. And I'm just recommending approval of that unofficial detour. That work is not proposed until sometime next year.
Motion to approve.
Second.
In favor?
Aye.
3-0.
I have 3 utility permits for your consideration. One of them I'm going to ask that you hold, and to be the Frontier. Josh and I need to do some coordination with Frontier on some other issues, so I'd like to wait for 2 weeks to do that. But I've got 2 citizens telephone permits for recommending approval.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
3-0.
All right. Well, the big part of my discussion here is our County Bridge 193. The bridge has been struck again. Someone's carrying oversized loads on the bridge. And this is the first picture that I've got. But sometime between Labor Day weekend and when I discovered it on September 19th, a load's been going across that bridge in the southbound direction, struck the bridge, and actually has done noticeable damage to the stringers. Actually, in fact, what we're finding out is that the stringers, all of these points on the south or on the north half of the bridge has been struck.
removing the paint, numerous dents, tears, flanges are broken, cracked. In fact, if you can see this line, this is one of the vertical columns. It appears that it's not plumb anymore, essentially similar to just taking
Pulled it
two
in.
different pieces, when it pulled that column in. And since that's a build-up column, it's multiple rivets. So I wanted to bring this up to you and at least provide you with some visuals of kind of like the severity of it. It's not scuffing paint. And with the bridge at 14 foot 10 inches, it's 4 inches above where an oversized overweight load would need an escort vehicle with an antenna. Typical semis are 13.6. Overweight, oversized is at anywhere from 13.6 height to 14.6. And 14.6, you need an escort. So for someone to strike this isn't just your typical semi. It's not that the bridge is too small. It's someone, and was only discovered by myself and someone actually caught our bookkeeper at Street Fair the Tuesday before I found it. And then we just kind of found out it independently the same day. So someone knows who hit it, or someone knows when it was hit, and so I just wanted to make the presentation to you today about it, and then some actions that we're considering taking moving forward. Following that discovery on the 19th, USI, who's doing our bridge inspection work, came out to do an emergency inspection on September 23rd to confirm both the level of damage and to develop some small level of estimates for repair work, and if repair work is necessary immediately following the accident, comparing it to pre-accident conditions. In all likelihood, at this point, the repairs to restore the bridge to pre-accident conditions will exceed $100,000. USI was unable to determine if the vertical columns were essentially grossly damaged. We're still looking at October is our compliance month for bridge inspection. So to do that, we're likely going to close the bridge for a day while we do a more thorough inspection, looking at the vertical members to see if they're still plumb, remove paint to try to see if some of the flanges are actually cracked. Depending on that more in-depth inspection, it may address load rating. I don't believe that it's going to change the load rating at this time because of what the level of the damage is, where the damage is at, but certainly it's going to have an impact on the life expectancy of the bridge. We have cracks in the paint. If there's cracks in the plates and the steel underneath it, then that's going to certainly skyrocket the cost estimate of what repairs would need to be done. My first request that I have for you today is to authorize a design contract from USI. That's something you have here today. That will include both the construction of a headache bar on the north and south entrances to the bridge, along with a video monitoring system to identify parties who are taking oversized loads across the bridge. The contract is actually paired with a second design part, which would be to design the repairs and rehabilitation of the bridge. To do such a broad statement at this point, it's a not-to-exceed contract with a ceiling of $100,000 for the design, because we believe both the camera, headache bar, and the repairs could be kind of unknown. Ben Beers here from USI to kind of address that contract itself, but my hope would be is to use some of the design fees that I have in the Cume Bridge Fund for the design of the headache bar and the monitoring system. My goal would be ultimately is that if we could find the offending party, that their insurance could pay for the repairs and the design of the repairs.
I hope they lost their upper plate when they hit it.
Yeah. So I can't imagine that to just kind of go through this, and if we wanted to do forensic analysis of it, this is the first entrance they hit. They clipped that, likely taking the load and knocking it down a little bit and getting whatever was on the trailer to rock and bounce. Once it started to rock, it must have been coming up when it hit that second stringer, because this is probably about 16 inches out of plumb or out of alignment. So if this is the center of it, they've actually moved the flange a foot and a half out. We went through with a laser to check the stringer elevations, and just to compare the sign at 14 foot 10, and everything was coming in with about a 1/4 inch of that height, except for this one here was 15.2. So they've knocked it over and up 4 inches. And they hit, in the process of going under the bridge, they had hit every single one of the stringers along the way out. Once they got halfway across the bridge, they must have gotten stopped lowered their ride enough to get under the rest of the bridge because there wasn't any damage on the south span. And that's been typical for us, is that they'll hit one span coming in, get halfway through, stop, then adjust whatever was the offending projection on their trailer, and then they get out of town. And with this, if it were just paint, we've talked about the people hitting the bridge and knocking into it, and it's just paint damage. To paint this isn't something we can just paint at Ace Hardware. It's a 3-step process, closing the bridge for traffic. That's expensive enough. Now with this, there's in excess of $100,000 in damages. I mean, I've in discussions as far as the severity of it. It would be like someone there's not 100 people in the county that have equipment that maybe could do something like that in SARS damage accidentally. I mean, some of the farmers might, but most tractors are set to be under 14.6. Most of the combines, you have to have something out of place to do it, and most of them are just little dent stings, and we get that and we work with you and trying to deal with it. With this, it's a historic select bridge for us. And for a single piece of infrastructure and cost replacement, you're looking at the county courthouse, the county jail, and then this is probably third or fourth. I mean, it's more expensive to replace this than it would be for any highway garage facility or the Carnegie Library to be replaced. You know, it's a massive piece of infrastructure, and to do that much damage and then to run is kind of a problem. Another question that I've had, and Roy, I'm throwing some ideas out as far as trying to get information leading to getting a claim made. I wanted to ask if we're able to use lit funds as possibly a reward for information leading to finding out who had done this. And I mean, I'm just throwing out maybe $5,000 from lit funds next year as kind of an incentive to get information on this. But that I don't know. Maybe we need to wait on that for a time.
It's risen to the top of my list of things to do.
Yeah, sorry.
So, to be determined.
Yeah, to be determined. So I want to just bring it up for consideration. I mean, certainly it's not my decision in this, but certainly we want to try to protect infrastructure. That's a core road for us. If they had done more damage than that, we could have been in a situation where we were forced to do an emergency closure, and then with State Road 1 closed, imagine what that does to everybody else. And for 90% of Wells County residents, I mean, they shouldn't have to suffer for that because of someone doing something like this.
So my question is, why $5,000? Why don't you make it $50,000, and if we find out who does it, you recover it and take them to court. $5,000 to me won't even start the program.
Well, that's certainly.
What's your
something.
thoughts?
Well, I'd like to talk with Dick Randall, see do we have insurance coverage?
Well, I did call Dan.
Okay.
And I mentioned to investigate. So Dan is, I think last Tuesday, messes with him, and we spoke briefly.
When I talked with Nate, I said, well, I talked with Dick to see if the insurance company's interested, maybe they could fund.
Yeah, they might be able to fund that.
Also, if the actions could, whether the offender's charged or not, if the actions could have constituted an offense against Property Act, then the county might be entitled to treble damages and attorney's fees.
So it gets a little bit outside of my area of expertise, obviously, and so I need to bring in a lot more people. Certainly you, Roy, Scott stuck around for me for this because of the discussion as far as an investigation. I don't want to be your investigator in this, so I don't necessarily want calls to come in to me if people, because as this goes public, I don't need everybody calling my office about it. I would encourage them to call the sheriff's office with information. That way they can log it appropriately. But I want to just bring this up and the severity of the damages. I mean, $100,000 right now is kind of what we know based on a step ladder and a laser looking at just what would need to be done. If we get more in depth, this can escalate, certainly. And because it's historic select, it's protected, there's certain steps that we have to follow in replacement to remain eligible for future federal funds on other projects. And we don't want to jeopardize that in the process to try and make this cheaper. And the bridge, just my final note here, the bridge was just recently rehabbed back in 2016. It's historic identification for the bridge. It is not something that we could ever just replace it. I think there may be concerns of, well, why didn't we just replace it, take the height restriction off, and it's some negligence on our part. That is not something that we were able to do or could do. Right now, that bridge is actually the largest span bridge in the county at 306 feet. 2 spans, so that the longest single spans that we have. The White Bridge, which a lot of people know, that's the bridge over the Wabash River on 450 East. That's a 4-span bridge, and it's only 266 feet long. It's 40 feet wide, but it's quite a bit shorter. This was probably, again, like the 3rd or 4th most expensive single piece of infrastructure for replacement. So if it were to ever be damaged to that point, chalk it up to essentially a building being torn down that the county owns.
Well, this is the second time it's been struck since the
Yeah.
rehab.
Yeah.
And
So-
I would hope that the first person that hit it was investigated again for this possible hit. I don't know if they have been.
So-
They probably should be.
Almost
And I was
nice.
in favor of a headache bar then, and I would certainly make the motion to go forward with the contract with USI to not exceed $100,000 to work toward that goal.
Second.
I defer to Scott if, like, paint experts can, if he hit all those stringers, I assume there's,
Paint transfer.
That's a possibility.
if my cousin Vinny, if they could identify it's lime green paint on 61 Pontiac, they ought to be able to make what your combine, it might be.
Well, or if you are investigating, if you have a suspicious person, you could see if there's blue paint on their vehicle.
That evidence is something that I think sooner rather than later.
Yep, certainly. I'll do what I can to work with Scott.
And I would also support a reward if that's feasible. So work with the insurance company to find that out. And I agree with Kevin, maybe higher than what 5,000 is probably not enough to get people talking.
Yeah, well,
I think you can recover it if you get it.
certainly I appreciate your understanding. It's unfortunate. Certainly it was avoidable. Shouldn't be something you have to spend money on. I'll be looking at what projects I can still do in 2020 in response, because certainly this went from being, it was off the table as really an issue, but at this point we're going to have to address it. I'm going to work with USI as far as scheduling. Certainly the headache bar and the camera system is the priority so that it doesn't get struck again. But certainly the repairs are probably going to be something more in fiscal year 2021. And we'll see if we can get grant funds to try to support us with that if we can't get a claim against the offender.
So what you're really trying to provide is where semis hit low railroad viaducts, they kind of get
Yes.
stuck?
There should be a graphic of an example of what a headache bar, freestanding headache bar would be. Essentially, it's just a steel I-beam suspended over that at a lower height so that they get some advanced warning. In all likelihood, we'd probably set at the legal height limit of 14.6. So if you're over that, you should have an escort anyway. So if they hit it, and then we'd probably need to consider an ordinance for as far as fines. If you hit that, I can paint that, replace it all you want. It's not protected, and it's fairly disposable. It's no different than a headache bar at McDonald's when you go through the drive-thru. They put those in so that you don't take a box truck in through and destroy the restaurant. We're essentially making a wearable, disposable. Please hit this first, and then set it out far enough that they can come to a stop. Because if they hit that, then in all likelihood they're over their height limit, and they very well may hit the bridge. And we can't have this.
So for their own safety, that's why we're doing it.
Essentially, yes. A $1,000 fine for hitting the headache bar would be minuscule versus what's going to happen to whoever hit this. So, and I need to stop them from hitting it because it's too critical a piece of infrastructure for everybody
And for
else.
the roads, I think it makes sense to post at the entrance of each area that leads to that bridge the height
Yep.
warning as well.
I believe there's signs. There's certainly the advanced signs in the south.
Six signs on it.
Yeah, I mean,
Make sure
there's
The other bridge has 2. We've got like 3 on each.
Yeah.
so.
Last year I added 2 more. So it's like, I don't know what else to do other than put spotlights on it.
Well, and we very well
We're
may put
covered.
street lights on it as well with the headache bar. Nice reflective paint, so you're gonna know when you're coming across the bridge. And I wish we didn't have to spend this sort of money on for probably what maybe 1 or 2 offenders. I don't know, but can't go on because there's only bigger damages that are going to happen.
If it's doing that damage to our bridge, it's got to be doing damage to their load. So
Yes.
why would somebody want to continue to do that is beyond me.
No, it's certainly an expensive fix for them, but I'm sure they're scared when after they hit it. It would have been a thunderous ride when they went across the bridge. So
I think we ought to, name the bar. Instead of clearance, maybe Commissioner Robbins Safety Bar.
safety bar.
Why are you blushing?
No, but I appreciate your time. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Oh, one other thing. Almost forgot. Since Nate and everyone is working diligently with the sewer district, we've been talking lately with BCS management. They've contracted with Huntington County, Montgomery County, some of my other fellow commissioners that we've spoken with. And I guess what we've talked a little bit about was maybe the commissioners offering some assistance to you for that. And I would like to make a motion to go under contract with them to offer BCS management's professional work and management resources with Nate to move it forward. Contract would be for $19,800, not to exceed, and see if we can help move that along a little faster for them.
Second. That was a motion, right?
Yes.
Yeah, just have Roy approve the contract. I'm
Yep.
fine with that, so. All in favor?
Aye.
3-0.
So hopefully that'll help you along a little more and
Yep.
see what we can do.
Benefits the county to
Yes.
have it.
I know we
work
struggle
well.
for funding at times, and it's been that way, so we're trying to help out a little.
Yep. No.
So thank you very much.
Appreciate it.
Nate, before you go, I got two things. I have two right-of-ways on minor subdivisions for the commissioners to accept. And then the second thing, Josh talked about the cutting the side ditches. And the farmers, as far as, wait till the crop's off. Well, when the side ditch work is done, if they intend to repeat that, is that going to be a problem with their farming operations filling in those side ditches? No?
No. What it is they farm to the existing edge of the side ditch, but when we widen the road, we basically move that same side ditch out 5 foot.
Okay.
We have larger right-of-way, as you know, and then the next year, they can farm right back to that same back slope of that ditch. But we need that extra room to get our graders through, to span that dirt out, and build the actual ditch. But once the ditch is built, they come right back over to the edge of it. So during construction, we need the whole right-of-way. After construction, they bring their crop back over. They lose 5 to 10 foot.
Okay, they bring it over, but they bring it over to the new
To whatever the
To the
new
right of way
ditch
is,
inverted
not the old one.
edge.
No,
Yeah,
no,
correct.
yeah.
Yeah.
They can't go to the old, or else they're going to,
They'll be in
a
it.
planter that can
Right.
go in a 3-foot deep ditch.
Okay.
So,
Or they burn.
we've been certainly with that and that example.
If they could, they'd try.
We've been really trying to be very
Bottom it
patient
out.
and work with the property owners when it comes to the farmers on one side or the other. With the additional right-of-way, as the county has need of it, we may use it. Certainly for utilities, we'll use that, but we try to work with the farmers to the best of our ability. When we get the right-of-way, certainly it's for site distances. And so for driveway accesses, intersections, as we get those, it just makes those corners safer. We're looking at the possibility of doing a road safety audit in the future, kind of just doing a widespread kind of improvement plan as far as our county master plan. And then also something that we may consider is modification of our county ordinances as far as using the county right-of-way, so that when you have somebody who wants to just fill in the side ditch because they want a couple extra rows of corn or soybeans, that we have essentially some more teeth in the ordinance besides just mowing their soybeans down.
So I was going to say, it's been more than a year, but you and I in the past have talked about that. And
Yep, we talked about it, and there's some
sent an
drafts
email
we've
to
sent
other
around.
counties as to what they're doing in terms of ordinances.
Yep.
And that's probably some of the, like, getting the right of way. You know, when we go for them to sign the right of way, oh, why do you need 30 foot? And everyone's, oh, you can do it with 20. You're correct. At the end of the day, 20, but we need the 30 to actually build it. Because I've got dirt just fan out. I'm going to trash that extra 10 foot while we build it. And so that's a lot of the pushback on when we're trying to get that right of way.
And for the construction, absolutely. What we're finding out as we do some of the safety audit, it really comes down to a lot of the 30 feet is utilities and safety issues. And so for preparing a clear zone, almost 50% of the accidents that we see on county roads are essentially ran off lane departures. So whether they're crossing the center line or they're getting off the road, having a wider right-of-way allows the ditch to be more navigable so they can get back on the road. Trying to make those safer as best we can. You can't make that safety within the 20 feet. You can build it, get that done, but really, as we move forward, that safety gets added to that. So
I know the right-of-way agreements, because I've got one here. It says, the grantor agrees to refrain from any action which would adversely affect the slope.
Yeah.
I mean, so it's in the right-of-way
So-
documents. It's
we
just,
have that. So it would fall down to determinations by Josh or myself or the commissioners of what would be that adverse impact. So, yep. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Nate.
Roy, did you have something else before?
no, just the two right-of-ways.
Okay.
And,
I'd like to, Mr. President, I'd like to amend my motion for BCS management to reflect your signing of the agreement. Thank you.
I need a motion to approve those that way.
Second?
Favor?
Aye.
3-0. Let's see, Mr. Huffman.
Oh, we have,
You got somebody?
Sean Morgan is here.
Oh, and
The alley
In place of
vacate?
Michael. Yeah.
Is that correct? I don't know if he just needs to sign that. I don't know, Nate. If that's,
hello.
I thought Roy was going to look at it.
hi, Shar.
I'm sorry, I did not know. Char Morgan, Beacon Real Estate. I'm representing the Emily Henshaw family, trying to get parcel or alleys vacated for 4 parcels in Murray, plus the land behind that they're trying to do a combine and add to. That has all been approved by the plat committee, subject to your approval of the vacation.
Okay.
Yeah, I seen the survey. I called Joel, verified everything. I'm okay with it.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
3-0.
did you draft an ordinance?
Did I draft an ordinance?
Did Michael?
Michael did.
There
Give it
isn't.
to us.
I didn't get an ordinance.
Did not get an ordinance.
I got a copy of a petition that was filed, and also I know from the publication date that notice was published,
Okay.
but I never got a draft of an ordinance for the commissioners to sign to officially vacate those alleys.
Okay. I will have to check with Michael then.
Okay.
Effective of one signature.
I'm going to say, yeah, as soon as that's presented to Roy and he's okay with it, this motion would be to approve it pending his approval. So if Michael could get that to him, that'd be great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yep, welcome.
So we give it a number when it comes to us.
Do you want to go ahead and give it to, what number would it be?
13. It's an ordinance, 2019-13.
Okay, with that number.
All right. Ordinance, what, 13, 19?
1913.
Clear.
Okay. Nate and
Roger
Mike
that.
Jr. for road mapping. See you, Nate.
All right, Nate, thank you for coming. We've had enough of Nate today.
Can I take Greg first? Greg, we'll move you up.
I'm not prepared.
Morning. Morning.
Morning.
I have submitted to the commissioners a report for the AED study that a committee had looked into. If you recall back, I believe in June, I came before the commissioners to just suggest that you at least consider the use of AEDs or automated external defibrillators. I can't talk. Defibrillators. That still didn't come out right, but I think you know what I mean. I did work with Lynn Blevins and Rick Pieperbrink. I can't pronounce that either. I'm sorry. And we talked once or twice over the course of the last couple months. We considered what we felt based on just experience and just what we've learned from professional experience of the medical community, that having these devices in the different buildings would be helpful, and how many there ought to be. We did talk to a couple people regarding some possible grant sources to help pay for these devices. We talked to some different building superintendents to help us determine what buildings and what would be able to be done to take care of these equipments. And then we also eventually talked to Roy regarding some legal issues that might be need to have done in order for these to be lawful in the buildings. This study then culminated in a recommendation, which I laid out before you. If the commissioners are so inclined to authorize the purchase and installation of these equipment, there are some protocols that need to be adopted by this board. There's also some statutes you need to acknowledge. Which buildings should have AEDs and how many in each building. And we made that recommendation in here for a total of 8, 4 in the courthouse, 2 in the annex, 1 in the highway department, and 1 at the 4-H building. Authorize somebody to purchase these items, expend appropriate funds in order to purchase any installation requirements that aren't covered by the grants. Have somebody apply for the grants. Authorize the commissioners or custodians in the building to take care of the units as prescribed. And then finally, the last recommendation of the committee is that offer the employees some paid time in order to be trained on its use. And that's one of the things that the EMS said they would be able to do a little expense to the county, but it would just need to be an authorization that department heads would be able to authorize the employees to take that training for a few hours.
Okay, did you say 8?
We recommended 8 total.
And you said 4 at the courthouse,
2 here.
2 here, 2.
1 at
One
highway.
each at the highway department.
Gotcha.
And 1
Thank
at
you.
the
4-H.
4-H building.
Gotcha.
If you were
Thank
so
you.
inclined. And that's in a form of report that I believe you have, and everything else is ultimately up to you.
Make a motion to approve of that. Thank you for your efforts.
On everything? You cleared everything on that, right? You saw.
Yeah, I would think what we didn't do is I would suggest that the commissioners adopt a policy on that use. I mean,
Correct. That's
you
outlined in
receive
here.
the report,
Right.
but adopt a formal policy and put it in the handbook, I guess, or an ordinance.
Right, with the training, et cetera.
Okay. Motion. Second. All in favor?
Aye.
3-0.
Thank you.
Perfect.
And then who creates
Thank
the
you.
policy? Who creates the policy? Them?
If it's all right, I'll draft one with
Okay.
Greg and then
Okay,
submit it to you.
thank you.
Just to keep the limitation from liability, you got to make sure we've adopted policies that require reporting of the use and all those things the statute requires. Not-
Probably
not
could help out too,
complicated.
so. Protocol, so. Good.
Thank you.
Thanks, Craig.
Pull your cohort
Cohort?
out of the foyer, vestibule, whatever.
Paging Nate.
Got Michael. He'll fill it up.
All right. So, back when I started working at the Plan Commission office, we had county maps that were for sale that showed all the roadways, ditches, different improvements, showed whether they're gravel, paved, state roads, all the like. We have been creating and printing kind of an unofficial replacement map for that for the last better part of a decade. And it's come to our attention that it would be time that we've worked with the highway department, the surveyor's office, pulling together and making sure we have accurate information the way people want to see it to make it an official county road map. With the way that this would be set up, it would be always up to date every time it would be printed. It would have the most up to date information on it instead of taking it to a publisher or something, giving mass reviews. So that's the goal today, is to submit this for your official adoption, and then we'll have you sign it, and then it will be just like the one that we used to sell.
Great. Then can we get copies of that? Second.
Absolutely, yes.
Thank you.
Will it be available digitally on the website or anything like that?
That's a question if you want us to do that. I mean, we have printing charges, but I don't care if somebody else prints it. Per se, we could have it.
I just appreciate all the information in comparison to the prior one.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Yeah.
got a lot of additional info that most people would not recognize. So
It's nice for us to have those when we get those phone calls to be able to reference right away.
Yeah, and this is right away has the ability, so if you want to look and say, oh, this mile is still gravel, and you have this visual, the gray, the black, show that very easily, and we'll keep those up to date.
It's beautiful.
That's right.
Okay.
Motion to accept is presented.
We already did it.
Again.
Yeah, we approve it again.
All right.
We like it so much we approved it twice.
It's so
After the
nice.
meeting, I'll leave this over there for everybody to sign.
Do you have a pen for us to sign it? Does that have to be? Okay.
Just so we have it all as ones.
Right.
Excellent. Appreciate it.
Something like that. Just don't be left-handed and smear across it.
Monthly reports for Lisa.
The Christmas and Thanksgiving gatherings, we just need your approval to be closed on November 27th from noon to 2. We're having a Thanksgiving dinner out at 4-H Park. And also December 23rd, which is a Monday, to close at 2 to have a Christmas gathering on the 3rd floor.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
United Way has sent us a letter again this year to have Denim Week. Those weeks are October 14th through the 18th and November 11th through the 15th. In years past, you have always asked the employees to pay $2 a day. They suggest paying $5 for a day, 10 for 3, 15 for all 5.
I suggest my motion to allow individuals that want to pay that can wear denim, and the ones that don't, if you want to elect to go with it, pay it. Otherwise, it's your own choice.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. 3-0. Fight City Hall for $1 and $2.
And also, Roy has updated the rescue run resolution for 2020, since you are incorporating Markle Fire Rescue for
Right, we added
the additional $20,000. That would be resolution number 2019-10.
So instead of 20, it'll be 22.
Yes,
Total
correct,
amount.
correct.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
That's all I have.
I reviewed and I think forwarded to you information I got regarding a class action on opioids. So it's like you got to decide you want to opt out or you want to be in. As I recall the information, even if you do not elect to opt out, you're not stuck with whatever they come up with because it's a negotiation order. recommendation for what it's worth is not to opt out. Because you still got a second bite at the apple whenever they do produce something as to whether or not you want to participate in the settlement proceeds.
Yeah, and I think that's what other counties are doing too.
I saw from the list that
Yeah.
the list on the internet, if you can get to it, is huge. I mean, I didn't look for every township, but Harrison Township's listed, and the city of Bluffton's listed, and the county, as far as the target areas for what's in or what can elect to opt out.
I'll make no motion.
Second.
No action.
Does that need to be in a formal way?
I guess that was the motion. He seconded it.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Lisa's got that down.
Yes.
Anything else?
That one was something?
Yeah, I just had something quick to ask.
Oh,
Sure.
Okay. Food in Bluffton is coming up on the 31st, and there were several girls in the courthouse that asked if we could use the plaza to be able to hand candy out to the kids on that night from 5 to 8. And it would be a donation of candy from employees to do so and to hand out. So we're just basically asking permission to use the plaza for that night. It's okay to do that and get signed up on the list.
It's not
What's
been
the
occupied.
plaza?
Well, the plaza is the courthouse side. That's what we usually do. We would be out in front of the courthouse. I'm sure that maybe are you guys doing anything on the park side? You don't know yet, but it would just be at our
We know
courthouse.
businesses will be doing something, so.
Right. That's what they thought. They would be here as well.
I think that sounds great. Motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, so if you guys want to donate candy, it's in my office. We're asking.
Snickers for everybody.
Anyway, that's all I had. So.
Thank you.
Thanks, Bobby.
Oh, there you go.
Is it available for inspection and sampling?
Yeah.
I like the inspection and sampling part of it. Okay. Just briefly, in regards to the Mayor's Commissioners Conference we had last week up in Fort Wayne, not last week, week and a half ago, 2 weeks. We have legislative session, so you guys are invited October the 18th if you want to come up. Travis and Matt, both are invited. I don't know if they're coming, but I have 6 items on the agenda. I did not bring my list of all the items we're going to be discussing and taking for our 11 county regions. So I think you guys were in the conference last week.
Were.
AIC, and it was very informative.
Supreme Court was down there and they talked about jail overcrowding, and that was quite the to-do with bomb-sniffing dogs, and they had all kinds of things going on down there. They were pretty well tightened up.
I will open it up to the floor for any questions, comments. Jessica? Okay. Hearing none.
Motion adjourned.
Second.
We're finished. Thank you, everyone.